Well, there it is. Hi guys, this is Witty and welcome to a video about Cossacks Free. Full disclaimer, I received a key code for this and I am happy to bring you a gameplay review video. So, what are we looking at? Well, Cossacks Free is a real-time strategy game and it's very similar to Age of Empires amongst other real-time strategy epic genres which you may be familiar with, and you'll get a feel for those vibes if you recognize anything. So you have your profile here where I am of course Witty, and that allows you to then enter into the campaign and have your sort of profile represent you in these campaigns. So the first one is War Ruse Tutorial, and if you select this campaign you got 2 levels. And of course Peace is where it trains you how to build up your economy. The War scenario is where it gives you all the units to play with and have at the enemy and how those units work. So you get a bit of a tutorial in both the economy and the fun war part. So it's all part of the game, and then you move into the actual general campaign levels. So there's a whole bunch here. I'm not entirely sure if they go into a particular order. I haven't delved into them. I've actually been enjoying just playing against the computer. But becoming a generalissimo, there we are. That's the one. So if you pick this, you got 5 different levels that sort of like develop that campaign. So I assume that these are each to their own 5 different eras that you sort of explore, perhaps periods of history. So as you see, each of these campaigns has, what I can tell, is 5 levels, perhaps more. I'm not entirely sure, but I can see 5 for the moment, and they're different time periods. But generally speaking, you're going to be playing. Oh, Dawn of the French Fleet. Well, there's a sneaky other one down there. So yeah, you got plenty of campaign levels to enjoy, and then there's the random map, which I will be showing you, and multiplayer of course, but I won't delve into that. But there's roughly about 200 and so people that I could see online at the moment, and there's a few games that are hosted up on the board, and then you join that game, or you can create your own game with certain conditions. You'll see what those conditions are when I show you the random map. You've got your settings here, so your video, sound and control. I'll go into that during the gameplay. Load game makes sense, and editors, you have map editor. So if you wanted to create any levels for yourself, or just play around with some weird scenarios where you give yourself 1,000 artillery cannons versus 10,000 horsemen and see what happens, you can do that. It's yours. Do what you like. So starting off with random map is where we're going to develop. I'm of course English, so we're going to be England. I'm going to pick random opponent because that's what this is all about, eh? Random. So map shape, several continents. You've got different types. Land is just straight up land. There should be no water. I do want some water though, so I can show you how the boats work, but the boats are really a means to the ends, or an ends to the means. They're a way to get your units attacking the enemy on land, pretty much is the way I see them. But I'll pick several continents, and if you do that, you get your own territory and the enemy have to come to you by boat, so you're generally speaking going to be left alone. So if you're perhaps wanted to practice the level a bit more without being harassed too heavily at the start, then you probably want to pick something like several continents. So terrain type can be anything between these different genres. Again, random is fine with me. Starting resources, I'll go with normal. So we go for like a normal straight up game, as though you're playing an actual melee game against an opponent, an actual player. But minerals, medium, I think is a good way to go. Now, the additional options, there's quite a few here. I'm not entirely sure what each of these do, but one feature mechanic that this game has is the capturing. Now, I like certain aspects of it, particularly for the campaign. I think it makes more sense, but for an actual melee against an opponent or a computer, if, for example, what happens is the standard way the game works is if an opponent military army approaches your units, your peasants, and you don't have an army to protect them, they will basically take your peasants. So you lose those peasants, and then they take them for their own, and they do the same with buildings. Now, the option I've picked here is no capturing peasants or centers, so they can't take your main center and they can't capture your peasants. So I think that's the way it should work in melee, and that's the way I enjoy to play it. So they can still take my buildings except from my town center, and The only buildings that you can't take, even if you don't have this option, you have the standard options, is they still can't take military buildings, which is very important because the military buildings are your only way to come back into the game if you do have the enemy military in your base, in your face. You need to defend yourself, so you can at least build out of those military buildings and try to take your base back. So that's kind of cool. So, with all that said and done, we're going to start off England versus random, red versus blue. Let's go. Okay, so like I say, this is isometric vision, top-down, real-time strategy. I keep trying to say random team. It's not random team. This is a random 1 versus 1, though. Except I'm playing England, of course, as one should. Hopefully I get to drink some cup and tea. We get to play in the 17th and 18th centuries, so that should be quite apt, I would suggest. Now, it's loading up the environment and all the conditions that are going to basically create a random map. So all the hills, all the quarries, the mine placement, the water, the land itself, and your starting position. So I really did enjoy playing a lot of random maps back in the day, playing Age of Empires. I will probably refer to that quite a lot during this video. I'll try not to, but it is, you're going to see what I mean. If you like that game, then you're probably going to like this, is what I'm basically getting at. I played a hell of a lot of it, and this really does give me the vibes of Age of Empires. But of course, this is Cossacks 3, and that means there was more than one. I never played 1 or 2, and this is the first one I'm starting off with, and it feels like I can get into it. Like I say, I played for about 4 to 5 hours, and I've got a good vibe for how the game works. So when you begin, you start off by producing your town hall, and with this, you're going to want to build peasants. So I'm going to build pretty much unlimited peasants at this moment and send them onto the wood. Now with these guys, I'm going to start off well, actually the very first thing you're going to want, to be honest with you, is a mill, because that's going to produce food, which is going to stop you from starving and dying. And then you're also going to want to produce a storehouse close by to the stone and the trees nearby. So these guys are going to go onto wood. Anything else coming out of here is going to go onto stone, and these guys are going to mix between stone and wood, because once you've built your mill, you won't be able to harvest any of the crops just yet, because it's kind of realistic. It takes time to build up, but once they're fully yellow, they're good to go, and then you send a bunch of peasants onto them. So you've got 6 different types of resources, and I'll be going over those as I can. Currently we're very low on food. Production of some units is suspended, so what's going on there is I need these crops to hurry up and grow so that I can get peasants onto it and up my food count. I believe if it's under 500 food, it basically stops you from producing units, and if you go to 0 food, like I say, your units start to starve and bad things happen. In this game, if you don't manage your resources correctly, you can end up being punished quite heavily. So you've got little grey numbers here by the actual other numbers of your resources. So 16 is on wood, 6 is on stone, so I can take some off the wood. Probably a good idea to take maybe 11 or 12, something like that, I would say. Let's go for a nice 12. I want a 12. Give me a 12. There we go. Oh, I've got 13. Fine. 13 will do it. So we're going to send 13 onto the crops. That's going to produce enough food, for me to continue building the peasants. We've got our housing count, basically. This is the dwelling up at the top left. 22 out of 100. So you're perfectly fine for now. But once you start to get close to the 100 mark, which you will, trust me, you're going to want to build either more town halls or houses. Now, in my initial playthrough, I went for houses. But I honestly think that I never stopped building peasants because they're always useful. Aside from well, let me introduce something to you. There's an interesting mechanic here. There's multiple interesting mechanics with this. You've got 6 different resources, okay? So you've got wood. These are the trees. You need to manage that. You've got food. That's your crops, basically. So make sure you've always got peasants and crops. As you can see, as they hand it into the mill, your food count goes up. But it's always going down. Now, why is it always going down? It's because you've got units. The more units you have, the more your food drains. So you always need to have enough people on crops, harvesting those crops, to make sure that you've got enough food to basically supply your units, your peasants, and your armies as well. Now you've got stone. This is very useful for producing. That reminds me. Let's build another town hall. because that's going to be my little cheat. At least I haven't practiced too much. I've only had, like I say, 5 hours or so gameplay, but like I say, I think that town halls are the way to go because you can build peasants from it. If you only have one, you can only produce one lot of peasants at a time, but if you have multiple, then you can obviously up and up and up and up your amount of peasants, and then up and up your amount of resources. So going back to the stone and wood is typically used to build buildings, but it's also used for artillery as well, stone, in that sense. Gold is basically your most rarest of resources, which makes sense, and your most expensive, so you want to look after that, and you want to be careful on how you spend it because it's not so easy to gather. Now you're moving on to iron. This is also useful for like your artillery, producing ammunition as well for range units, that kind of stuff. Apparently if you run out of iron, they will be unable to fire. So as you can see, each of these kind of resources has its own condition. Run out of iron, you can't fire with your range units, so your musketeers and all that kind of good stuff, or your artillery. You run out of food, everyone starves. You run out of you know, stone, I think your walls start to go down. I know if you run out of gold and you've built mercenaries, that's much later into the game, they will start to mutiny. I actually practiced that last night. It was funny as hell. I got rid of all of my gold and then everyone on my team just started attacking each other. It was chaos basically. So I've only got one peasant on this town hall, so that's a slight mistake on my part. And how do I rectify such a issue as this? Well, probably want to start taking any peasants that are coming out to help finish off this town hall so I can get some more peasants coming out. Now, last but not least, we have coal, which is used to produce ammunition for range units. So if you run out of coal, they'll also be unable to fire. So coal and iron are kind of very similar in that regard. So you always want to try to keep all your resources, you know, roughly, well, ideally 1,000 plus, if not 500 minimum. Because the lower it gets, the harder it gets to control your everything. And believe me, this is a game that's quite heavily based on macro, from my experience of playing it. There's a little bit of micro, but definitely comes heavy into the macro of management. So as we can see, I've got a little island here at the top. It's quite cushy, it's quite nice, quite a few mines neatly placed together, which is quite fortunate for me. Now we've got loads on stone, but why haven't we got so much on wood? So maybe we might want to start right clicking on where the tree locates, and then as the peasants come out, they're going to then start to chop on them trees. Now 13 is just about enough to keep my food count going up, but obviously keep an eye on that. Now with the mill, you've got, well, with any sort of real-time strategy game, you can research. Now you notice how that's gone down and up. It will grey out when you don't have enough resources for it. There. But once I get the food come in, I can then start to research that. But I probably don't want to do that since it's greying out at the moment. So what I will want to do is take another 15 to make sure I've definitely got enough food to support all the peasants that are going to be producing currently right now. Now, one thing that's interesting is as you build things, sometimes they get more and more expensive each time. Particularly that goes for upgrades for mines. But if we go back to the town hall, if I can find that, that's 6,300 wood, 6,300 stone. Before that was 2,100, and I think 2,100, something like that. So you'll find that costs tend to almost double / triple. So you can't really go too crazy on building up too much of the same thing because you will be punished for it. You need to sort of spread yourself a little bit. Now, like I say, I'm playing on an island here, so I'm less likely to be attacked by the enemy. But if I was on land, it's very important to get yourself a little bit of a military up and running straight away. So how do you go about doing that? Well, let's delve into that, shall we? We're going to get ourselves a blacksmith. Let's build that here, actually. So that blacksmith is needed to actually get anything, well, to get the barracks and then to build units out of the barracks. So you always want a blacksmith first and then you start to produce a barracks after that. Now, you can get yourself a marketplace. You don't particularly need it right now, but it is definitely useful. It has its places. For example, marketplace allows you to trade resources. Now, when you trade resources, you're never going to get the best deal possible. You're going to get a good enough deal, but the more, say for example, if the more wood I trade for gold, the less gold I get each time. So if I give 100 gold, I get 20 wood. Then another 100 wood, I get 20 gold. Then another 100 wood, I might get 19 gold, and then another 100 wood, 18 gold. So that kind of thing. So you've got to be balancing your resources as best as possible. But there are particular strategies. For example, as you can see, I've got 12,300 stone right now. So as soon as that marketplace is up, which I'm going to build these buildings a little bit quicker because you can multiple build, so you can send multiple peasants to build. I think up to 30 maximum on the bigger buildings and probably like 10 to 20 on the smallerish buildings. So the blacksmith is up. That means I can get myself a barracks. Let's see where we want to place that. Let's build our army units on the outside to the shore. That's probably going to be closer facing the enemy and have more of our sort of like economy towards the back, towards the middle. I think from my experience of last game, it's important to try to keep as many tech type buildings and research buildings close to each other, because you're going to be referring back to them very often, clicking back and forth, upgrading here and there. So now we're going to go to this mill. Going to upgrade the improved grain crops. So that's going to improve my harvesting by 140%. So anything that improves, you know, your harvesting, your mining, you're basically always going to want to get that as fast as possible, because a strong economy is going to build up to a strong army in the late game. Now, our resources for gold, iron are looking really dire. So what we're going to do is going to take a bunch of peasants. Now, I've got 48 selected here. So what happens is if you press N, that goes to build a mine. That goes on the iron. You can only have 5 peasants in a mine at the start until you upgrade that mine. So 5 peasants will come off and the rest will keep doing what they're doing. So if I press N again, they'll go off and build that as well. And then N again, they'll go off and build that. So what we'll do is we'll take 19 peasants from here. Now I don't want to send 19 off here, but if I right click, 5 out of those 19 will go into that building that mine and then go into that mine. Click here as well. So click another bunch. Click over here onto the gold mine. So as soon as these mines are built, they'll go inside and then they'll start mining away. Now you can see inside is 5. The maximum you can have inside is 5. There's an upgrade later on that's 1,000 food and 1,250 gold, which is quite expensive, and it gets more and more progressively expensive the more you want to up the mine, which increases the amount of peasants you can fit in that mine. So you want to manage all of these resources as well as possible whilst building up an army, which is, like I say, it's quite a lot of management to go through with it. Okay, so the barracks is complete. So what should we build next? Maybe an academy, because that's a research center. Can I fit that nicely? Yeah, that'll do. Let's put that over there, so kind of keep our research close together. I'm going to get myself another town hall, because I'm a greedy bugger. We're going to try to build them as close to each other as possible. So we're going to see how many peasants we can get to build it. I'm going to highlight 51. You can see it auto-saving there, which is a really cool feature. I'll show you some more of the features once I've got a bit more established. But auto-saving is so great, because obviously if you make a mistake, you can go back like the last 5 minutes or so. Shall we just get a couple of units? So let's get a couple of each, so you can kind of get an idea on how the military work. Oh, look at that town hall go up already. So how much does it cost me for the next town hall? Oh, you can see 18,900. So it basically triples for the town halls, but your peasants are all going to come out like super fast. You're going to triple your production of peasants, which is basically the most important thing, because the more you triple your production of units, or pretty much peasants, I would say, highly suggested, because not only do you get the dwellings from the town hall, but you can also obviously gather more and more resources to then fuel up your army quicker and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to need a staple stables where I can fit it. The horses don't particularly like to be that close to the ocean, but tough, to be honest. I want my military buildings close to each other. So stables is being built now. That's going to allow me to get sort of like my horsemen, basically. So you get dudes on horses with swords or with guns. So they're more mobile. They've got a bit more health, but they're slightly more vulnerable to pikemen. Each military unit has a sort of counter unit as well as a unit it's strong against. So it makes sense. Let's get a shipyard as well, because the shipyard can actually... I don't know where I can build the shipyard. It's a bit more fussy, the shipyard. That will do. That looks good to me. I'll tell you what, I'm really tempted to get another town hall. It's so expensive, though. But what can I do about that? Well, perhaps I take my stone that I've gathered and try to trade it for a bunch of wood. See if we can balance that out. Although, I still don't think that's going to quite nudge it in the right direction. So how much is it each? So let's find the town hall. I'm getting too obsessed with the wrong things here. I'm going to get a cathedral as well, because that's where I get my priests at. Unfortunately, I can't build that too close. That's going to go there. Priests are basically your healers. They're quite nice in that regard. You've got towers and walls that you can build, but I wouldn't necessarily suggest building a wall, because they will drain your resources a little bit. But they are useful they're more worthwhile on land scenarios where the opponent's more likely to attack you. So you can bottleneck the opponent by building a wall and a gate with that wall, so that they have to go through a particular way to get to your base, which is obviously ideal. So coming back to this, I struggle to find a town hall for some reason. Shouldn't be that hard. Ah, it's this one down here. It's because it's greyed out. So I need 18,900 on each of those resources. So if we go for... So I'm going to get 4,200 wood, I think, and lose 7,000. That should be enough. Yes! So we take you, and we go for another one. Ah, but I can't build it here. I want to build it. There! You're going to mess with my OCD. Fine. We will settle for that. Look how many peasants I got going on that. Okay, so one thing we're going to do is we're going to start to up these mines. So what happens is when you up those mines, you'll see in a moment that it increases the amount of resources that the next one takes. Also, if you press, I can't remember the button for it, but there's a button up here that allows you to select all of your AFK peasants and get them to do something. So we've got a mining network here. Because these mines are nearby, they got a neat little mining network. Hang on a second. So I upgraded that one. Now look at this. If I want to upgrade this mine, 1,000 gold, 1,250 gold. 1,000 food, 1,250 gold. Fine. Now, because I already upgraded that one into that, using those resources, the next one is going to cost me 25,000, 5,000 wood, 7,750 gold. It's really, really expensive to keep upgrading on the same type of unit, building, research type. So you've got to bear that in mind. So the more you can spread yourself out and get more mines, the better off you're going to be. However, I would suggest that if you're going to upgrade any mine, it should be a gold mine. Because of obvious reasons. Gold is the more rare resource, and it's probably the most valuable as well, I would say, for many, many reasons. So let's start taking a whole bunch and fast build things a little bit here, because I've been quite lackluster in that, and I apologise once I'm trying to explain as much as that as possible. It is, I mean, it's hectic. Once you get a bit of practice in there, it won't be so bad, and like I say, it's very macro heavy, and I am not the strongest macro player, I'm going to be honest with you. But I'll give it my best. So let's hurry up and build all of this. We've got another storehouse we can build here, I'd say, because there's a whole bunch of wood there, just in case that runs out. Although that wood looks good. The trees don't look so healthy, though. So I might want to find a new source from the trees. Now my mills run out, interestingly enough. I've got to be careful of that, because look at that food really go down. So I'm going to build another mill over here. And if it goes down any lower, then I can always sort of back myself up by trading some wood, for example, for the food, or stone for the wood, because the stone is my by far best that I've got. I've got my shipyard up now, so straight away just start building some boats. Get those. Those are going to start to produce food for you. They're only used for fishing. They cannot take part in battle, so you always want to be producing those at first so you can get some food coming in. More and more peasants. Okay. Oh my goodness. This is madness. It is madness. It's crazy. So we'll do a little bit of scouting now, I think, with some peasants. Take them to either side so I can look for more mines, more wood deposits, that kind of thing. So these mines, they need to be filled up. You can tell which mines aren't filled up by clicking on the unoccupied mines. It will highlight which one. So that one, that one, that one. So you grab a bunch of peasants, right click, right click, right click, and that should send off your peasants to fill up those mines, which they are now all occupied until you upgrade them further, so then you can fill in more. Okay, so we've got some AFK peasants. Let's bring over a bunch over to the mill here. So I don't think I've ever... I didn't run out last time when I built the crops. So I'm going to have to look into the academy, which hasn't built yet, so we want to get that built, because the academy is where pretty much all of your... Well, the main huge influencing sort of researches that you can get are contained. So we're going to look into that in a second. And generally speaking, look at that. That's an important one. Field capacity plus 100%. That would have been handy, wouldn't it, if I researched that in the first place? They would have lasted a little bit longer. So yeah, we're going to want to work towards that. Now we've got this available, you want to look for all the researches that are going to increase your mining, your wood, and your harvesting sort of production. So again, straight away, anything that does that, do it. Make it happen. Now we're going to come over here. We're going to send the peasants over there, get a storehouse as well. And what I might do is venture a little bit more this way. What happened to my peasant that ventured over there? Maybe he got bored. I haven't even been able to show you the military units right now. So our boats are automatically going off, doing some fishing, and every now and then they'll return, and I think they bring back food. So anything that's going to give you food is going to be worthwhile. So you can see my resources going crazy right now. So let me think about this. Let's start to produce some writers. Just a few military units, but I'm going to get a certain amount of them because of creating formations. It's something I'll explain in a moment once I've got more sort of like going ahead. I'm going to get a storehouse over here. Bear in mind that the further you build away from your base, the more likely you are to be sort of raided by enemy players. So you're always taking a risk with that. Just get mines everywhere. Now, one thing you need to do, one thing I would like is that if you click on a research, you can click on the next one and the next one and the next one. So it just does one after the other. But you need to keep coming back to these buildings where you research. So you always need to be doing that. I'm not building any more peasants. Although, to be honest, I might actually get to a point where I've got so many of them. I never built 4 of these before. I only had 1, and I was building very slowly over time. I thought, you know what would be a good idea next time I do this? Is to actually just sort of get a whole bunch of them so I can build pretty much unlimited peasants. Some of the music I really like. For example, this music that you're listening to right now, I really, really like this song. Other music that is in this game can be a little bit conflicting, I find, and sometimes doesn't mesh right. Sometimes it sounds like there's too many layers of music playing, but this one is just great. So I'm going to shut up for a moment and do a bit of macro whilst you listen. Okay, so my poor little mill hasn't regrown its crops, but I'm still doing okay. If need be, I can sell a lot of the stone that I got, because I got nearly unlimited amounts. When you get crazy like this, and you're not so familiar with the game, you might as well just be researching everything to some degree, but I will try to look out for anything that's going to improve my production. So, anything that... I'm not too worried about the building defense, because I'm a greedy player. I'm all about the attack, and I'm going to start upgrading my mines now. Like every single one that I can upgrade, even though it does cost a crazy amount of resources, because in the long run you'll get those resources back, because each mine is pretty much unlimited. So you can see this one currently can have 10 inside of it, as can this one now. Inside it can have another 5. There's currently 5 in there, so there's now 4 unoccupied mines that I've upgraded, so we need to go fill those mines up. Click on those. So if you're never too sure, hotkey a group of peasants, then left click on these mines, then press your hotkey again, which is 4 for a bunch of peasants. Right click on the mine again, double check that one there, and then again right click there. And the last one on the minimap, it highlights over here, so right click again, and hey presto, there you go. I do have a few AFK peasants. I think they're over here. That mine is filled up. There's 4 peasants there. If I upgrade it, I can fit another peasant. So let's take 1 to go over here, and then that'll fit that up nicely. Okay, this one over here needs some more peasants in it. In you go. Get in there. Keep coming back to try to get whatever research upgrades you can. When you can, as you can. It's not necessarily a bad idea to try to balance your resources a little bit with your marketplace, like every now and then. Just to sort of feel a bit more comfortable with how your resources are looking. Particularly gold is, I think, always worthwhile buying into, because that's the hardest to build up anyway. Right, we've got so many units now. Oh, I tell you, this game is hard for someone like me. I'm not the best macro player. Like I say, I'll give it my best shot, but I get overwhelmed. If you like a challenging sort of like game that's kind of relaxing as well at the same time, then this might be up your street. Because this is only first as a normal computer. It only gets more difficult from there. So you can play against much more difficult computers, which are going to give you basically a hard time. Diplomatic Center, I'll build that just to show you what it does, but I'm not getting anything out of it. Those are the mercenaries, and those mercenaries cost gold, and they drain your gold over time, and then they'll mutiny if you don't have any more gold left. So I won't be getting too many of those. They're basically your last ditch attempt for getting units out to defend your base, because your units build. This one takes 40 seconds, 46 seconds, 4 seconds, 12 seconds. So certain units take long, certain units are quick, but they're cheap and cheerful, and then your mercenary units come out almost instantly. And they're pretty effective, but they cost a lot, and they drain a lot. So you've got to bear that in mind. Now this artillery depot should be done soon. I needed to put as many peasants on one. So this is a reminder to you when you're playing. When you build something, just put all your peasants on it. Otherwise it will take an eternity. Things take a long time to build in this game. So bear that in mind. Now we've got that finished, we can start to produce things like the galley, which is a defensive ship. So you might want to get that. But bear in mind, any army units you get are going to drain your resources that much faster. So that's one of the advantages of being a bit more passive and being greedy with your resources and not going too heavy into an army, because it will drain your resources quick. I like to get a bunch of ferries at the start because I'm always going to want them anyway on a map like this where I've got to deliver my units. A ferry can have up to 80 units, but I think it can be upgraded to have 200 units. So I might get 3 and aim for like 600 units, something crazy like that, and do a massive attack. So we're going to try to aim to get to that stage. Let me have a look. So what else can we get? What else can we get? Harvesting, just constantly increasing anything that I can spend my resources on. It looks like it's going well. Like a little too well. Unoccupied mine. Where is that? Over here. What's going on? You want another 5 in there? You got it. Right click on that. So resources looking great right now. It's all about building up an army, so I might get a moment to tell you about this. Let's get a bunch of these. You've got upgrades that can decrease their cost as well as reduce the speeding, the build time that they take, but I think it's just probably better for now just to straight up build them than worry about getting all the researchers and then start building them. Just get them going, and they'll come out quick enough. I mean, in the long run, they'll come out quick enough, because this is going to be a long run for me. I'm starting to get to the point where I need to wonder whether I need to stop building peasants or whether you just do go unlimited on peasants, because I am kind of crazy on that. Now, I do want to increase my mine capacity, just because it's pretty much unlimited. Like 200 peasants on stone right now. That's ridiculous. 25 on gold, 25 on iron. You can see the amount you've got on these resources and how much they're going up, how much they're going down. You've got to try to balance it as best as possible. Get that diplomatic center up. More research to be done. I'm not too worried about boat efficiency. I guess so, because that's going to increase the amount of food that they bring back, which is useful for me anyway. So this mill, this poor mill, I don't understand why that's not doing anything. I could destroy it. If you press delete, it will put it at like near death health. So if you have an opponent that's about to take your buildings, you can just press delete, which is what the computer does, before they take it. So it's basically going to destroy itself as they take it. And bear in mind that if you do retake a building that the opponent destroyed, it will do the same. It will basically have almost no health, and you need to start repairing it immediately, otherwise it will basically destroy itself. So you need to have peasants on board, basically ready to repair if you are going to take back your buildings. Ooh, let's have a look. There's a lot to do with artillery right now. Rate of fire is a good one to go. Shipbuilding speed, oh, times 10, yes please, because these ships take a long time to come out, and I'm going to want a bit of an army to help protect my army that is going there. So I want a ship army to protect my land army. Okay, so we're getting crazy here. Right, now I might be at a point where I can tell you about how the officers work. So you have an officer and you have a drummer. Now, the officer and the drummer are required to create formations, but you can't create a formation until you have 36 of a type of unit that you can currently see. So pikemen, how many pikemen do I have? If I press left control and left click on these pikemen, I have 2. So if I go and build 34 these bad boys, bear in mind that one's come out there, so it should be 33. What I will be able to do is create a formation, which is basically one solid, neat, tight group that is controlled by the officer and the drummer. So wherever you go, they go, kind of thing. It's really good. I'll try to do the same with all of these, really. So I've got 2 of those already. So I get 34 of those. We'll try and do that, actually. So I don't know if I've got 2 of those. Dragoons, yes. So let's get 34 of those. So we're going to start building up a big-ass army now. My artillery's always producing. That takes time. And remember, for every 36 that you've got, you want 1 officer and 1 drummer. So we'll go into that later on. You can upgrade to the 18th century at some point. I don't think I've got to that point yet. Oh, yes, I know how. You cancel this, your peasants, and you upgrade. But obviously it requires a ridiculous amount of resources, but it's probably worth trying to go into that soon. Because you can build the next barracks, which is going to get the next sort of like level of advanced military that you can obviously use. There's your mercenaries. They cost gold. They come out within a second, pretty much. But they drain gold, I think, as well. I still want to upgrade my mines. I need a lot of gold, so let's do some crazy marketing here. Look at all this gold. We're going to get crazy amounts of gold. Try not to lose all of my resources. So 37, I'm going to lose 37,000 wood. Whoosh, that's all gone very quickly. Stone is what I want to be trading. That's the one I've got the most of by far. Let's go crazy in that. Like I say, gold is one of the hardest resources. So I can, if you get that up, you're gold and you're cushy. So, and if you're going to enlarge your mines, again, gold would make the most sense because they all cost the same to enlarge, I believe, no matter what type they are. So look for your gold mines and upgrade those. Bear in mind that there's also mines here, so it's probably going to be valuable for me to send a bunch of these peasants overboard. And that's a lot of them. I'm going to send actually a bunch of them over there as well whilst they're at it. Not all of them can go in those crops. Jeez, that's a lot. It's too many. Get over there. Now this galley, you can upgrade it, but I don't know how to just yet. You don't have enough dwellings, so this is the part where you either build houses, or you build, they give 15 food, or you build more town centres, which give 100 food. Houses, you've got to be a bit neat and tidy with them, because you'll find they're quite hard to build, I find the space for them, as you can see. So, in all honesty, I think I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to go heavy into building. Oh no, I can't. I want to build more town centres, but because I've built so many of them, look at the wood resource. 56,000. Like I say, it stacks. It goes up and up and up, so you can't realistically do that. You can't be doing that. You're just going to run out of resources. That's not good. I mean, I'm trying to build up my resources. I'm not trying to lose them. So, speaking of which, I'm going to increase my mines when I can, as I can, because like I say, my macro is appalling, as you can see. Anyone else could have finished the game by now, but I'm trying to show it off as best as possible, so there's always that advantage. Now, my AFK peasants, of which there are almost 1 million, are going to fit 80 of them into here. So you see, they go in. I like how all the units have like little animations, particularly when they're attacking and stuff like that. You can zoom in, have a little look and see how your economy is going. It's quite fun watching them go back and forth. But obviously, if you want to try to control your armies and that, you want to sort of like zoom as far out as possible for that full-on isometric view. Now, these guys over here, are you going to build me the houses? We need to try to build them neatly and tightly as best as possible, because you run out of space real easy in this. Now, this is where my food is. My dwellings are required to be built. I wish you could build the houses right next to each other, or because that's just wasteful of space. I know these people want a nice place, nice little suburban scenario, but I want to be practical. So I'm going quite crazy in this, but that's because I want to go quite crazy in a large army just to show off for fun. So we're going to right click on these. You can hold down left shift and that will send off your peasants to build the next thing that you're right clicking on, basically. And you just do that over and over until all those houses are built. These are over here, so if you right click onto the land enough with your ferry, the ramp will go down. You can unload. Ah, we're getting into enemy territory here. So if I try to take those mines, you can see the enemy, the computer, what you want to do if you're playing on land and you're much more likely to be threatened, and like I talked to you about things being captured, you want to have a couple of military units sort of like spread amongst your buildings so that if they do attack, they can't instantly capture. Let's get back on the boat. Back on the boat. Yeah, good idea to save. Thank you very much for that autosave. Back on the... Oh, some of them aren't going to make it. Okay, I've been pushed off. Looks like I'm not going to take that mine anytime soon. Okay, I got a bit greedy there. We're going to need to build up our army. So, coming back to the officer, if you press assume formation, now we've got 36 pikemen. Boom. That selects a group for you. And that takes the drummer and the officer, and they move as one. Bear in mind that if anything looks a little bit laggy, that's mostly because it's my computer more than the game. The game obviously has a lot of units that you need to control and manage, so it's a lot for it to take on board, but at the same time I haven't got the best computer, so could probably have higher FPS if it was streamed by someone else. I forgot to keep doing researches, man. Just click on anything and everything at this stage. The more experience you get at the game, the more you'll know what to click on. But at this stage, right now, it is just a case of panic, sheer panic. So my production facility, you can upgrade your units. One thing I do like is if you are building a unit, as soon as you click to upgrade, it goes straight into that, and then you cancel that and it goes back, continuing to build. So it's kind of cool. I like that. So, yep, we're constantly building those. So, how much does it cost for another stables, out of curiosity? I think it's more than the first one cost, so it's probably the same deal. The more barracks you build, the more of the same type of building that you build, the more it's going to stack up in cost. But again, the benefit is the quicker you're going to be able to build those things. Now, the advantage I'm going to have is I'm actually going to ignore... I'm going to go to tier 18, tier 18th century. So I need 10,000 gold, 1850 wood. We've almost got that, actually. So we take the stone now. I'll tell you, I'm terrible with macros, so I'm sorry this is painful to watch in that regard, but I am not good at it. Boom. That's it. Let's upgrade to the 18th century, which apparently doesn't take 100 years. It's quite quick, actually. I've got the game speed on fastest. I didn't show you any of the options, actually. So let's go into settings. Here's your options. Standard kind of stuff. Most of it's clicked high, as you might expect. Here's your sound options. The ambient volume is like birds and stuff like that, but I didn't need to listen to that. I just enjoyed like the sound of the units themselves as well as the actual music. So that's the balance I've gone for. Here's your speed, your controls, your mouse wheel speed, that kind of stuff. Autosave, definitely have that. You have 3 different types for game speed. Normal, fast, very fast. If you have it on normal, I could probably manage the resources much better than I currently am right now. But I've got it on very fast because I just like the gameplay to be fast. I just like that. And here's some certain options to make things easier for you. Said hotkey is very important in my opinion. I'll show you what that does. Is if you come back into the game. If you press said, when you're clicking on any one unit and press said, it will highlight all the units of that type. And you want to, say for example, you got this guy over here, this guy over here. Now I want to select all of my writers. If I press said, hang on a sec, let's come back to that one. Press said, that highlights those ones, but not this one. So you hold down left shift and press said again, and that will capture anything else that's off the screen. So you just keep holding down left shift and said. And again, you can just do that with all these units. Left click on everything that you have, all the different types of units, and just left shift or drag and drop and then hold shift and Z, and that will basically gather up all of your units. But bear in mind that I had that group, that formation, that officer formation, so they all move as one despite being attached to this huge group. You can see them all moving as one. Those 36 pikemen and officers. Okay, that's a lot of chatting. So back to some sort of macro. This is a really important one. This is map hack. Montgolfier, that's 18th century tech, obviously, so that's important. I'm going to upgrade these mines again when I can. Looks like gold is still the most valuable resource, so let's keep going for gold. Soon, I'm not getting much value out of this stone now. That's the problem when you go too heavy into one resource. Oh, wow. I've got the whole outer rim, but I've got none of the middle bit, so I've got to get inside of here and take him on. He's guarding up there. I could land my ships over here. So let's take our units. We're going to rally everything. 7, 8, 9. As you can see on the left side of this building, you can see how many cannons you can have. 2 out of 5. Howitzers, mortars, and multi-barreled cannons. So there's something that you research later on. You can always get a bunch of priests as well. Now, if you hold down left control rather, and then left click, it builds infinite amount of that unit, so you're always building those units. But like I say, I haven't gone too crazy in the military just yet because I don't want to drain too many resources, but I've got a lot of resources to drain, so let's try to do that, shall we? And I'm going to have a bunch of unoccupied mines in a moment, so I'm going to take a whole bunch of peasants, hotkey them to 2, left click on the mine, so take the 2, oh hang on a second, control 2, oh that's because I had a building over it, there we go. Unfortunately, I seem to be losing my control group, so I'll just drag and drop for easier sake. That mine actually needs to be built. That's not even built, that mine. So we got this mine here, we got this mine here. I imagine this is painful for some people to watch that are actually familiar with the game. All I can do is apologise. And try to furiously research. I think I might stop building peasants. I keep saying that, but I haven't done it yet. I seem to be going crazy on that front. What we need to do is just really get units coming out now. So let's start coming over here and build up that barracks, the 18th century one, which costs a lot of gold, as you might expect, because everything costs gold. Gold, gold, gold. So let's go crazy in the gold, I suppose. Trade a whole bunch. Cancel that. Build that up again. You don't get much value from your other resources for gold, so bear that in mind. Iron I might do, actually. Let's try some iron. Coal, rather. Oh, coal's like a quarter of the amount, but I'll take it. Right, here we go. Let's get this barracks built. I don't know if I can have more than one of these bad boys. So that's how many peasants can build that. If I can, I might try to build another one. I don't know if the costs go up once it's built. It takes a long time to build as well, as you can see, but you will get the best units out of it. Shall we try to go for a second one? It's such a ridiculous amount, and I think that actually has gone up in cost. 25,000 gold. I thought it was 12,500 gold. A lot of gold. A lot of gold. Probably unnecessary. You're probably screaming at me right now, going, "Not necessary, Richard. Not necessary. Don't worry about it, mate." But I'm like, gold. I need gold. We're gonna do it. We're gonna build 2 of these bad boys. So we're gonna get the highest tech units out, and we may as well build a bunch of crappy units out of these ones. So all the pikemen and the musketeers. So again, just get a bunch of them, and then I can fill in the rest with the officers afterwards. One thing I like is if you build an infinite of these, it doesn't just build infinite amount of those. It moves into the next unit, then the next one, then back to that. So it goes from left to right. So you don't have to worry about it building only writers. It will try to get sort of like a mix between the two. Well, actually, let's just double check on that now. I'm thinking about it. 18. Does it move on to the dragoon? Okay. That one, it goes onto the writers, but over here, it moves from left to right. That might be because of the way I have it set up, but I don't know. I'm not experienced enough. So I haven't really got any galleys to defend myself, but I don't think... I mean, because I've got map hack now, effectively, you can see what boats the enemy has, and he hasn't invested in too much of an army, so I should be safe. Although he does have a yacht here that is attacking my boats, so it might be worthwhile getting a couple of galleys that can at least defend me, because he might be coming my way, which he is. So let's send off my guy to take out him before he destroys all of my little awesome boats. One thing I'm not a huge fan of is you can't see how much health the enemy have. From what I can tell, you can see how much health you've got, the damage you do, how many kills you've got, the rate of fire, and there's your defenses. You'll see on the military attacks. But I can't tell on my opponent as to how close he is to being dead, aside from maybe you see some animation of fire. Boom, and then my little boat goes right through him. Almost like a bad manner move. Okay, cool. So, as we can see, these should be built now. Oh, they're still not built. Wow. Okay, so 7, 8, 9. I'm always building something with these military units, so you've always got something to fill up. Okay, now we can improve our transport vessel design, so that's 200 capacity. I don't know if you have to do that with each one. I assume you do. Let's see what happens when this one finishes. But it's going to be worth it, because I'm going to have a ridiculous amount of units, basically, soon. So that's got 200. An extra 200 on top of the 80, I think, actually. So that's a lot. I've actually got 70 peasants in this that have been there the whole time, AFK. That's where they were, just slacking in the boat. Any more upgrades? No, of course I need gold. Lots and lots of gold. Gold is just... How many times have I said gold this video? Anyone kept count? There's a lot to manage in this game. It's definitely quite hard work in a lot of aspects. It depends how quick and easy you want to take it, I suppose. One advantage you can have, and I don't know if it works against the hardest computers, but if you just, like I'm talking about the whole capturing units thing that you can do, and capturing the enemy bases, their buildings, their peasants, is you just build up an army right at the start and you overwhelm the computer and you can pretty much win there and then. But I don't know if that really works on the harder difficulties, and it certainly probably won't work too well for us as a player. So if you are playing against a player, you really do probably want to work on... oh, look, we can clearly see he's thinking of taking an aggressive stance against me, so I'm going to want to take my galleys and shoot those down before they reach me. I could destroy half his army, actually, before he even gets here. Yeah, he's going to try to get his men off the boats. So with that one, I might want to let him get a bit closer into the middle of the ocean before destroy it. And we want to get more of these, actually. Quickly, build them out. Build them out. Okay, they take a while to build, so we're just going to move on to this one now. It looks like they can take a lot of hits as well. He actually might make it. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab all of this army. We're going to pull him over to here because he clearly has intentions to land. So if you attack and then right click and hold left shift, you can change the position of how you want to face and where you're going to attack move to. So he's going to start rallying there. Oh, he got a few units out. That is devastating, out of like 80 units. And then my entire army's going to move in here and slaughter this. Okay. And then we're going to come back over here. Back over here, in fact. Oh, okay, these two are now done. It's a bunch of AFKers. I'm going to send all those peasants over there because they're going to fill it up anyway. Oh my goodness, look at all this. Look at all these gorgeous units. Okay, so let's go for 30... Oh, they build really quickly as well. And they cost a bit of gold. I don't know if they drain that gold. See that gold drains. It's hard to tell. So we're going to try to get... We'll use the fancy units to show off the armies a bit more better. These are my dirty units. I'm going to click on the officer. I'm going to see how many formations I can make. Apparently not many because I've not done a good job of keeping the numbers right. You have to play a bit of a numbers game. Probably be easier to keep a numbers game on the higher class units. So how many pikemen is that? That's 45. It's too many. So we need to do the math. 72, so we're going to want 7 on top of that. And 27. Oh, that's hard to do because they come out so quickly. So I'm just going to build a bunch of them and get them as close as possible. It's almost like trying to fill up your car with petrol and try and get it as close as possible to a rounded number. You know, even when the car's filled with petrol and you're like at 48 quid or something, and you need to get it up to 50 quid. Or you're at like 49 pounds, 32 cents, and you need to start delicately pressing the button. 72. I did get that right. Cool. So we get a couple of officers, a couple of drummers, or they're bagpipers now with the 18th century because that's how advanced bagpipers are. Upgrade these mines, man. Upgrade the mines. The tension is real. Oh my goodness, I haven't been doing all this upgrade as well. Just click on it. Click on it all. It's getting crazy. It's too much for a mere mortal like me to control. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Oh, you can get your ships to fire as well from range, but bear in mind you might get enemy artillery giving you a hard time. I just looked. What's coming on the left-hand side? There's a raiding party. He's shot. I wasn't paying attention to the map. He's attacking from the left-hand side. I'm losing my hotkey groups, unfortunately. That should be hotkey to 1, but I lose it, unfortunately, so I'm not sure why that's happening, but if we just do the whole hold left shift and drag over, you should be okay. So, like I said, it's more macro-based. It's harder to micro in this. Okay, we've got a whole bunch of those. Let's go for 36 of these. 1. 35. And then let's go for 36 grenadiers, or go for 18 on that and 18 on that. So we're going to get a nice sort of 18th century army here. I'm going to get each of the upgrades when I can, just every now and then we're going to go for a full attack. This has been a long video, I do apologize, but you're going to kind of get long games like this. The campaign is kind of like, that's why I didn't play the campaign, because the campaign is much more specific on what you're doing each level, like capturing a certain unit, then sending an army over here, then capturing these buildings, then, you know, rescuing this unit, or, you know, capturing another unit. You're just doing all sorts, really, back and forth, and then building up a base until a base has reached a certain amount of resources. So the campaign is great, but it's harder to show off in one video, so that's why I wanted to just play a like scenario where I can pretty much show you everything that you do in the game that you're realistically going to be doing. that you're going to be managing, possibly able to manage. So we've got a bunch of gold mines we can fill. Where you going? Oh, you're going back to fill up the other gold mines because you're AFK. I get it. Okay, so how's our galleys looking? Are they all upgraded? If not, let's upgrade those bad boys. Our units are coming out again. Try to get any upgrades when you can. How are the galleys doing? Quite strong, actually. I stopped building peasants with one of these town centres. You can see I've still been building... I've been building unlimited peasants. You don't really get that punished for it, aside from the food, but as long as you've got enough meals, you keep going for it. So you can get almost unlimited resources, but gold, as you can see, is still just such a pain. Like, I would need to trade so much to try to get gold. There we go. Look at that. Now 74,000. Who's messing around with gold now? Take no prisoners, gold. Take that, gold. I've lost all of my coal so I can get as much gold as possible. Gold is no longer an issue, at least for the next 5 minutes. Okay. I think I'm pretty happy with where things stand now. We've got all our nice 18th century looking units, looking a bit more royal and flush. There's your bagpipers. They're Highlanders, actually. Where's your bagpipers? Where are they at? Probably the ones holding bagpipes, I think. There's one. Ah, he's hidden there. He's got the kilt. It's the one with the kilt. Okay. Right, so what we can do is we pick an officer and then try to create a formation with each one and right click them over there for now. So we can try to sort these groups out into their own little, well, groups. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Couple of that, couple of that. Bunch of upgrades here and there, bunch of upgrades here and there. Whenever you can, click on the upgrades, make it happen. As you can see, the artillery can just be basically building over and over. Artillery is really strong in this game, as you might expect. I'm very used to having control groups or everything, but in this game you don't necessarily do it so much because you see right there, as you just left click on any one of those units and it's one whole control group. So it's an easier way to sort of manage your army. So you just do a couple of clicks and then you can send your army off completely. Okay, now where's my more officers? My 18th century looks pimp. So 36 musketeers. So all of these units are suddenly sort of like starting to dwindle into nice, neat groups. 36 grenadiers. There you go. So we've got our pikemen, we've got our Highlanders, we've got our musketeers, and we've got our grenadiers. So I think we're ready to maybe destroy someone, aren't we? So let's bring you guys all over here. Get the ships over. A couple of ships should cover that, I would have thought. And a couple of ships here to cover my scummy army. This 17th century army. I do apologise for all these resources. A much better player would just be able to manage all of this at the same time, but hopefully you're having fun with the video. If you are, make sure to like the video and you know, tweet it or subscribe if you're more interested in seeing more of my stuff. I am getting quite flustered doing this, I gotta say, because there's so much to manage and I'm so bad at it. I would not be a good at, you know, those guys that spin those plates and need to keep them spinning? I am not that guy. I'm not that guy. Okay. Right clicking. Oh, hang on a second. Get these boats onto the shore properly and then we can load them up. Oh, I don't think the enemy's going to know what's hit them, to be honest. He's got a bit of an army and he will spill out. As soon as he starts getting attacked, his military buildings will start producing more. So in the normal game you can capture peasants, remember? But you can't capture military buildings, so you need to make sure you can overwhelm their army properly. Oh god! Just as I'm starting to load up my boats. I've got so many peasants I might actually be able to just see if I can fight back with them, just for humour's sake. Oh, I'm going to beat them. I'm going to beat them with my peasants because I got that many of them. Wow, that's fantastic. And that's going to lead to a lot of AFK peasants up here now, because they've all been sent off to go and do something. The nice thing is, you do kind of have almost unlimited resources to some degree. Because it just doesn't run out. They don't run... Well, they do run out, but they take a long, long time. So your peasants are always going to have something to do. Even if you've got like millions of them. Okay, how do I get my army back? So when you drag over this, you can hold down control and click on one of these icons to get rid of that group, which was a group of peasants. Because I don't want a group of peasants coming with me to invade. Unless I want to sort of take the buildings and repair them. Actually, I could do that. Let's do a little bit of that. I don't think you can put auto repair on, which would make things easier. And I'm just going to fill up these boats now. I've actually got 70 peasants in those anyway. So our huge 18th century looking armies are filled with one Highlander looking lonely. There can only be one! There can only be one Highlander! Oh my god. How perfect is that? Okay. I hope some of you got that reference. If you didn't, then go watch the Highlander. Okay. Right. What have we got filled up over here? I think we're ready to attack in a moment. Unleash the armies. Load them up. Let's go to town. I think they're trying to attack again just as I'm sending off my armies, so let's just build a bunch of units. If you have them on unlimited, then they're just going to build unlimited. My resources can handle it. They can take it. Unload, unload, unload as soon as you get onto land. Now, one thing I didn't really explain too much is in these battle scenarios, you want to have melee units amongst... Oh, no. The artillery is destroying me. The artillery is absolutely destroying me. This might be harder than I thought. You need horses to get into the artillery quickly. You need melee units to be amongst your range units, because otherwise your range units can't attack up close. Oh, I hope I can do this. I'm going to keep building more and more units now, just spamming them all out. Yes, pressing the attack. That was kind of scary at the start there. Artillery, as I explained, is really strong in this game, so you want to take that down as quickly as possible. You don't have too much of an option, though, to do that. It's hard to sort of single target units out, but you can... Is that an enemy? What on earth? It's just sitting there, but okay. I think we're pressing the attack now. We've upgraded almost everything we can upgrade, although even with all these upgrades, man, look at that. I completely lied to you. There's tons of upgrades still. It seems unlimited almost. You've got all these different upgrades for these different units, increasing their attack or their armor, their defense, which reduces the amount of damage they take from particular types of units. Just take everything. You want to keep an eye on your resources as best as possible. You can clearly see I've got enough that I don't have to worry too much about running out of ammunition or gold from ammunition. You need particular types of building units to destroy buildings as well. I don't think melee units can take over buildings or destroy them, so they'll continue to build. I can't actually kill this military building until I have proper artillery or grenadiers, I think. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong as well. So you need those to actually physically destroy the building. That hasn't unloaded. Get over there. I just want you over there, you over there, you over there. You unload. You guys come over here. So I can take over a lot of the buildings. The computer hasn't been destroying them, thankfully, and I've got the peasants that are inside, so that's how the capturing works. Oh my goodness, look how many units this is. Let's just get the grenadiers. They're quite expensive, but obviously they're the good stuff. So the 18th century stuff builds real quick, so you can really fastly replenish your army. As you can see, that's crazy amounts of units. I don't know if the computer ever gives up until it loses every single building, but you kind of get the idea what's going on here. I need enough galleys to just sort of be like attack moving and destroying any ports that they've got as well. I think in the computer's assault earlier, it destroyed my mines. That's a town hall. So we can't take that yet. You can't take a town hall full stop actually. But you can destroy it, I assume. I'd like to think so. Did I ever take those peasants to take over the bases? I have got peasants here. So I could actually start farming the crops now. Because like I say, anything that you take over is yours. It's like you built it basically. So these peasants over here. Are they going to start farming the crops? Sure, why not? May as well build a little mill inside of that. So I can just have range to destroy their units as they produce them over time, but the main thing right now is to get these buildings that aren't destroyed, so we can get those finished off. At least I would hope so. Kill a couple of priests, why not? Good idea, auto-save, because I never save it myself. I do love that feature. I need to capture that. I need a military unit to capture it, I think. So where's my grenadiers at? We should be able to destroy this stuff now. If not, I honestly don't know how to take over buildings. Which seems to be a problem. Those are pikemen, that's why. Where's my grenadiers? I know I built tons of them. Seriously, where's my grenadiers? This thing's building nothing but them. So I've got to have some of them there. There they are. Can we destroy the building now? Which ones can do it? None? Oh, I'm hopeless. Keep getting them. So I've got everything on guard right now. I just need to destroy the buildings and then the game is over. But I'm terrible at this. My food count is crazy. I could surrender. He's done a good job, to be honest. Got all these units, none of them can attack buildings. That might be something I would like changed if I could choose. Because your military should be able to take over buildings. I know you have different types of military to do things, which makes sense for like mechanical reasons of the game, but sometimes it's a pain in the butt. And this is one of those cases where I think it's a pain in the butt. I mean, how else do I take over these buildings? Is that because I just put that you couldn't capture the buildings, so technically I can't end the game because I put that setting in? So I don't know how the game actually ends. If that's the case. Maybe if I didn't have that setting on, I could just take over the buildings, but I know certain units can destroy buildings. It is probably explained better in the tutorial, but I obviously didn't take everything on board from the tutorial because there's a lot to take on. But I built almost every single unit, so some of these units must, like if I just build one of everything, which I kind of have, something must be able to do something. Do you know what I mean? Like one of these units at least must be able to destroy the buildings. If not, then I don't know what you do in this kind of scenario. There you go. So artillery is the way to go. I thought that there was particular types of human units that could destroy buildings, but I think it might be artillery only, or that might be dependent on what race you're playing or country you're representing. So in my case, England, only artillery can do the trick, whereas my normal military don't seem capable of touching these buildings. They're scared of them. So I'm going to need to get the old artillery to destroy everything. And it doesn't auto-attack these buildings by the looks of it. You have to click on everything. Yeah, that's what's going on then. So you need to make sure you click on the buildings yourself. So just look for anything that's blue and destroy it. I mean, certain things can be captured, but at this stage I just want to kill them. Quite clearly. This ship is actually stuck on land because I've pushed it so far into shore with my other ships. It's got itself stuck. Here we go. Come on. Almost there. It's like a beached whale. There we go. It's fixable. It's still good. It's still good. Did they take over? Look, they took over my freaking storehouse. So all of my guys are taking the wood back to the other one. So your peasants can't take your stuff back. Maybe a priest can take it back. Priest is the ultimate diplomat. Okay, finally. More artillery. So artillery. Build artillery. Basically. Seems to be the key here. Artillery might be a little bit overpowered, but I'm not an expert at this game, so I could be completely wrong. I've heard it's really good in the previous Cossack games, because I did stream this game the other day, and I had some awesome fans that were big fans of the original Cossack games, and know a lot about it, basically, far more than I do, and they were basically guiding me on a lot of things. They had a lot of advice. So bear in mind that I am pretty much a huge noob, so you're not getting an expert's point of view on this game, but you're getting more of a casual player's point of view on this game. Oh wow, that was harsh. Poor peasant. You could safely say that I've probably occupied this territory now. I would probably hedge a bet that I control this place. My resources are just ridiculous now. It's embarrassing. Like, I almost want to hide them. Like, I don't want you to look at them because they've just gone too crazy. You can do it, artillery. I believe in you. You know what I should do? Is find all my peasants. Get all my peasants. And just build multiple artillery depots. Because I can afford it with the resources I've got. How much is the next one, actually? 44,000 iron once you've built 5 in total. So I've got 4 here and 1 back at base. I know I could end the video right now, but I feel like we've gone this far. Didn't actually get to show you too much of the multi-barrel cannon. They're really, really, really strong. But they also have a high chance of killing your own units if you have too many sort of like vulnerable, fragile units, such as the standard sort of like early game scummy units that you can get. Even the 18th century polished stuff didn't do too well, didn't hold up too well. As long as you got enough. It looks like you can build unlimited peasants, by the way, because some of these, not all of them are building, but some of these town halls have been never stopped building peasants. You can see how many I've got. Ah, I'm food capped. I don't think I can afford to build another. Oh yeah, I can. Let's get another town hall up so I can get a quick 100 food, so I can get more these artilleries out. might want to reduce the build time actually on some of this stuff. The cost isn't so much of an issue, but the build time is handy. Shipyard's got to go. Speaking of ships, can these guys actually destroy that shipyard? Thinking about it. Or one of the buildings on the outside. Maybe. Let's find out, shall we? He keeps trying to rebuild over here, and every time he sends his peasants over, he just gets gunned down. Yes, those boats are doing a pretty good job actually. Blowing up these buildings. Very nice. Multi-barrel cannons are incredibly slow but incredibly deadly. So, is there anything else you'd like to ask me before we get to the end of this video? Oh no? No questions? Alright then. 1337 food I had there for a second. Out of 1420. So I don't think in most games you're going to have ridiculously large armies like this, but obviously you can see the game has the potential for it. So if you are one of those kind of people that just love to build up a huge army and go to town with multiple different types of army groups and have them all sort of have at it strategy wise, then well, this game might be for you. You can see there's literally a million 1 units, and with enough practice I could probably do this a little bit better than I currently have been doing it. But I like to think that I have showed off as much of this as I can do. I'm pretty sure I've destroyed everything now. Ah, victory. Press S to exit or backspace to close this message. Here's the graph. This shows you the population and the upgrades when you got those upgrades. So if you're not too sure on what to do, maybe play against a computer of a certain type of difficulty, what you're comfortable with, and see what they do, and then basically copy them. So like, watch the replays, or if there's any professionals on this game, then watch what they do. I'm certainly not a professional, but hopefully you got a good grasp of how the game works. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you had some fun with this video, and if you did, then make sure to thumbs up and check out the Cossacks free. It's up on Steam. You can find it there if you wish to go into it. And yeah, take care. Have a great day. I'll see you later.